Great. Well, thank you, Ms. Myers and members of the board. Like Dr. Strike said, I thank you all for coming in this morning. I really want to thank our leadership team. I mean, this was a crunch time. We met yesterday as a team to kind of review some of the numbers. And I really want to thank Huckabee, Steve Hafer's here with Huckabee, for all their help and working with us. And I believe that Balfour is in traffic, so they'll be here. They apologize for not being here. They sent us a text to say they're trying to get here. So they're probably over at Oak Point, just saying. So today we're talking about two options for you. I'd like to maybe just review kind of what this includes. And so remember, we're doing some additions to the cafeteria dining area. We're expanding that out. We're also doing renovations to the kitchen to make that flow a little bit easier. Right now, students go in one area and come out the same area, so it's just a bottleneck right there. So we're going to be improving that. We'll be taking the stage out and adding another service line there. And as Dr. Strike had indicated when we started, whatever we do, we want to make sure we're planning for the future. And so as we go through this for the cafeteria, we've allowed for coming in for phase two, and Steve and them have actually done some drawings to represent that expansion even further. And so whatever we do, we make sure we don't take steps backwards. We want to make sure we take steps forward. We're also doing the new band hall addition. That includes a new kind of office area for the Director of Fine Arts, Mr. Felice. It also does the color guard expansion to make sure that they have a place that they can change. We also have storage there that we've expanded. We're also including some upgrades. We'll go through the different options. One option that we'll present to you, the one that we're going to recommend, has renovations to the existing band hall areas. We feel that's a need there. Also, we're talking about that new office entry. You know, we kind of don't know where to go in right now. You can go here or there. No one knows where the entry is. So we're going to revise that. We're going to make it more efficient. We're going to make it more secure. We're doing an incident command center within the new renovated areas of the office area. So we appreciate Ross Roberts and Billy Coburn working with us on safety and security. We've already updated cameras. We've added 50 new cameras, I think 80 total there to the high school, and we provided card access at the high school, which it didn't have before. And so that happened during the site package. Remember, we had a site package GMP. So the numbers we provide you includes those numbers, so just FYI on that. We're also talking about that 11 classroom addition. We appreciate Dr. Mika and all her help with curriculum. I mean, they were integral working with us on that. You remember you got your new 3 science labs that we're doing. We have that culinary arts that we're adding component. That is all going to be commercial grade kitchens. We have a bistro area that we're doing. We're looking at upgrades to some of the athletic areas in the sense of the batting cages. That's one of the options that would be bringing to you as well, along with the access drive in the back. If you've ever been down there, we know we have a well down there, and if you ever get back there, you get stuck in the mud there. So we're looking at improving some of those types of things there. So, and also we're doing some irrigation, new irrigation upgrades, landscaping. We're going to do native landscaping, things like that. So, what you have in front of you is two options. Let me take this for you. Option A is the one we're going to recommend to you. That's everything that I've kind of gone through there. Also, the main corridor. We didn't talk about the main corridor. We talked about upgrading that main corridor. If you go in there now, the light levels are sort of low, especially on a cloudy day. We want to upgrade that, so we're talking about some technology upgrades, lighting upgrades, finishes, different things like that. So that's also included in this. So option A is the one that the administration is recommending to you. Remember, we came to you saying that we wanted to stay at probably $20 million total. So what you have is, on the first page is a recommendation letter by Huckabee. They've reviewed both of these options, and they're good with either recommendation. The second portion is the breakdown of costs by what we call divisions, okay? That's the cost for every part of work. So we wanted to show that to you to be transparent with you. And so that's for option A. This is for everything we want to do. Behind that is the total cost of the whole project, including what we call soft costs. So when I say above the line, that's construction cost, and below the line is all the soft costs, like all the money we're paying to Steve and his team over there. And then we have to do surveys, geotechnical reports. So we broke that down for you as well. because oftentimes people just say, what's the bottom line? And so we appreciate Grant and Anna working with us on the budget. They've been integral on that. Yes?
So the 18141, which is the construction hard cost.
That's correct.
Is that in the 18570?
Yes.
What's the difference?
So let me go through this real quick.
The 18 is above the line, the other is below.
That's right.
That 18 does not include the soft cost.
That's correct. So this,
So I thought including the soft cost of 21.5.
that's correct. That's correct.
So I was expecting this to start at 18.1.
It should.
Add on, but it starts at 18.5.
We can take a look at that discrepancy. Is that on the Huckabees? Steve, can you check on that? So on, so on the Balfour number, they have construction costs at 18.1 for option A, and you look at your breakdown of the total costs, you have 18.5, so there's a discrepancy of $400,000.
And the same holds true in Plan B. There's a disconnect between the detail and that summary page.
So we'll take a look at that and see. Sounds like that would be a cost savings, so that's good news for us. So option B is closer to that 20 million that we told you. Now, Grant has been working with our financial advisor, and he can speak to the number. We feel comfortable with going with the 21.5. We feel comfortable with that, but we don't know your comfort level. So, but he can answer any of those questions for you.
Before he gets to that point, just want to point out, we sat down as we looked at this yesterday, and we looked at what would have to be cut out to go to option B, and really felt that it was a disservice to not bring option A, because originally we were trying to hold hard with that number. However, what we started finding out is it would look at, and let me give you a simple example. So we do all the band hall. What was in option B was not taking out the old floor covering and redoing what's in there now. So they got that carpet, which if you go in that band hall, it stinks. It needs to be taken out. Well, that was $85,000 for that floor covering roughly. And the new floor covering is what Frank has looked at. It's a rubberized, easier to clean, maintenance is better. Kids come in, it's wet, easy to clean with that. And so that was, so it's kind of like, what areas would people walk into and go, my gosh, we just spent $20 million and we couldn't even replace the carpet here. There was some ceiling issues, some lighting issues down in the main corridor area that, again, it would be like, that's nice, but why didn't they finish it? And so that's really the biggest difference between the two packages is one says, wow, they finished this right. One says, well, this really looks nice, but I wonder why they didn't, and point at things. And obviously, we can't do everything, but that's the difference between A and B, basically.
And the library too, Dr. Strike. We excluded the library upgrades. And the reason why we did that, we asked them to do that because we were nervous about pricing because of, construction costs are rising and there's a limited number of subs. So we provided alternates as part of the bid package to give you options. So that's why there's the two options for you.
Yes, thank you.
Is there an improved PA system?
Yes, there is.
And
Yes.
the auditorium.
Yes.
That was one of the others. Option A includes about $175,000 for a new system in there.
Just to clarify, that's excluded in both, Dr. Strike, but we feel comfortable that we'll be able to get that because we have $500,000 contingency in this job, plus what we have buyout savings whenever they start doing contractual things. So Jeremy, thank you for coming in. We'll have some savings from that, so we feel very comfortable there's going to be money coming back. So I think we'll be able to take that AV system there.
That was one of the alternates, right?
That's correct.
So of those alternates, the 5 or 6, that's the only one that's kind of included, or the batting cage?
The batting, so an option A, everything's included except for that PA system and the
$175,000.
that and there was a trellis that we had that we said we didn't need.
It was kind of decorative out front for
And a monument sign.
While it'd be really nice, that would be a hard one. I try and think about things that if you were in a bond issue that you would put in, and you probably people would say, "What? You're spending $100,000 for that, really?" That kind of thing. So that one we all pretty much agreed that one needed to go.
Does this
That's
include
right.
the TV?
Yes, all FF&E. So there should be a number breakdown.
Video screen stuff to have TV,
Oh,
so
out
you
in
can
the-
watch the games in the.
Right.
So what we have included is we have the infrastructure to go to that. We'll probably have money to be able to buy the TVs. What we're not sure about is the components to run it, because that's the expensive part. It ranges from $25,000 for like 2 or 3 TVs up to almost $100,000. And so to
But
run
all
that
the infrastructure's
is
there.
in.
So the wiring.
The wiring, everything's in to where we can come back and put that in there. We do have TVs in all the classrooms on technology. Russell's not here, but we appreciate his help. So they're moving to bigger TVs in the classrooms with Apple TV components. So all that FF&E, fixtures, furniture, and equipment is included in this job. We gave you that total cost for everything. So we're not coming back asking for money. So no more, exactly, exactly, exactly.
Just, well, and he introduced Jeremy when he walked in. Of course, Steve, you know, and have talked with before, and Steve's here because we trust him and Huckabee as a company. But us, like Jeremy Blevins, I had the pleasure of working with him on a project in Eagle Mountain, Saginaw, building a, $125 million high school setup a few years back, and he just does a great customer service, great job that he'll do for us too. So I just wanted you to know there's confidence in both the folks that we have in, and we know them.
And we had good coverage for our bids. I think across all of our divisions, there was multiple bids, which was good. I think over 100, which is pretty good for this size project. So we were glad to see that. So we feel we're getting good numbers for you as we bring those to you.
So, this might be a dumb question, but when you're looking through those bids, how do you make the selection?
So
Do you, I mean, obviously you don't take the lowest cost provider, but you're looking at,
Jeremy might be our best.
As far as when we take all the bids, we'll tally them, we'll scope them out. We say apples to apples to make sure everything's covered in the scopes. After that, then we go for best quality. So we won't take the lowest number per se. We'll take the best quality, you know, make sure that we know their work, the workmanship. So best value is probably the best way to say it.
So there's history included with that, I heard you say too.
okay,
We try to stay away from taking the lowest guy, especially if we've never worked with them, because we want to turn the product over without any hiccups. And so it comes down to best value.
okay. That makes sense.
As far as, we had that issue with the flooring out at Hackberry.
yes.
What are we doing to prevent that happening?
Well, let me address that first. There, remember, I think we brought to you a insurance for that, and so I think they've already replaced it twice for us at the cost. So at the time, we were nervous about the price of that, so it's already paid off.
Like
Just FYI.
$10,000 for that
Yeah,
insurance.
and we've already replaced it twice. So what we do is we have moisture tests. So we have One Source Flooring that would be doing the flooring. So they do all different types of moisture tests to make sure there's not a high level. The carpet that we're using can be put down even if there's no visible moisture, even if it's very high humidity in the slab, they still can put that down. But for our tiles and things like that, we always do moisture tests to ensure that that doesn't happen.
Is there insurance for this as well?
Well, we'll get, typically, One Source will not recommend that unless the humidity levels are relative humidity levels are very high. They'll feel comfortable that we don't need the insurance, but they say, hey, you have, a high humidity, relative humidity, then they'll say you might want to get insurance for this. So,
I remember the height rate was caused in some defect in construction, right?
For the-
Was leading to that moisture getting in.
there was a couple of things that they said. One was their high relative humidity. The other is that the white tile, they said for some reason, seems to have, it delaminates a little more with the glue. And so in the future, we might stay away from that light tile. That's what they said. That could have been a component of it.
They was sealing that too, didn't they?
Yes.
Recommended.
Remember they came back and we sealed the whole floor with everything, with the sealant. And so,
So I mean, just stuff like that will be carried over to here.
yes, yes.
Rod,
Yes.
the 429,810, what you're approving is the GMP for the construction. The 429,810, the discrepancy in both options is the summer work that you did.
Oh, that's right.
So.
Because you've already
Oh, so
approved
you've
that.
already
Because This is why we call it GMP
That's why we-
2.
But it's all
Okay.
included in this project,
Okay.
so our.
That's why we hired Steve Hafer.
So it's included in here.
Yes.
It's not included in
That's
here.
correct.
It's just-
Okay.
That's phase
And
two.
what was that amount you said?
429,810.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Do you want to talk, Grant, maybe a little bit about, because there's the difference with the number that you and I talked yesterday, and what you
Yes.
talked with the FAs about?
Yeah, Dr. Strike had asked if we could fund part of this out of fund balance and then get reimbursed if the bond would pass. So I know from experience, we've passed I think a 90-day fund balance reimbursement for previously. And so I called our FA and our bond attorney, and he said we have 18 months. So once they start dipping into fund balance and the bond is passed within 18 months, we get.
Which we would dip, the fund balance piece would be toward the end of the project,
Yeah.
obviously. As you make payments out, partial payments, that would be one of the last ones, would be something we would consider out of fund
So
balance.
I don't think the gamble is very high. And our fund balance on our budget, 2015-16, well, this is, no, I have to update my sheet for the final amended budget. But prior to that, it was about $943,000 of discretionary fund balance. And we're projecting this year, our discretionary fund balance towards the end of the year with the savings and payroll and other costs and a little bit more in state funding is about $3 million. So we think putting half this and.
So the risk of fund balance at the 24% is negligible.
No,
And
the
with the bond
20%
passing
is
is-
solid, and this is
yeah.
up and above the 20%, which I call discretionary.
So we'd still be, basically, we're only touching about that 3
The
million.
discretionary portion, and if.
And then-
we get-
then-
we get reimbursed.
If the board calls a bond passes, we have the ability of 18 months to reimburse back into fund balance out of that bond.
Okay.
So we're just kind of projecting ahead a little bit. Even if something fell apart, what I'm hearing you
Yes.
say, Grant,
Yes.
is that you don't see a great risk to fund balance, even if the bond didn't pass.
Yeah, we'd be okay, we'd be okay.
I mean, that's
going
important
forward.
for-
What's difficult, I don't know if we spoke to all the discussion, for the transportation facility too. My concern was, we don't have enough fund balance to build everything, and then we're gonna have so much pressure on M&O as we go forward, building new buildings and maintaining those new buildings out of our M&O revenue, because this year's budget, we are balanced and it is tight. And so that's where we're at. But as also in the discussions and listening, it was very difficult to hear the things we wanted to cut out and walk into the buildings and why did you do this and our structure and plan on that. So
Let me make sure I understand financially. We have the bond we sold for 21 million. We got the revenue for that. That's all going to be applied here. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay.
and I can go through that with you to get to 25.5.
Okay. So that's there. And then we have additional need of 3 million.
Yeah, and then we had a $1.8 million remaining from the bonds that were sold from 2002.
Okay.
And then we had $800,000, which was the net of the sale of the King, that was added.
Okay.
So there's about $400,000 that we would have taken out of our fund balance to get to the 24 million, which was 20 million for the operations, and 4 million for the application.
Okay.
And then we had 1.5 million, so we're at 25.5 for both projects,
Also, total price.
for this project.
Now, the operational services, just FYI, that remember we reduced that scope from 7.5 to 4 to make sure we put more money towards students and kids. And so we'd be looking at that as probably part of the bond package too, to phase the rest of that facility in. So we'd be coming back to you for that.
Okay, so the bond package beyond this, what does that entail? What are we talking about?
We're still working with Huckabee on providing the information to our Finance and Facilities Committee and also bringing that to the board.
Are you talking about what would be?
The total- we don't know yet.
No, right now, it's gonna go to a community committee, once all the work is done, kind of the pre-work.
Probably a committee of 45 people, 50 people,
So we're looking at potential bond package.
Next August, or next November,
November 7th.
it would be called in August.
Next year.
Of next year, if we, yeah. But all of that pre-work will be done the next 2 to 3 months. The community committee would start early next year. And we have a calendar that I'll send to Sonia, she can send it out to everybody.
Yeah, I'd like to know more about that, that bond package.
And those finance and facility committees are now public, so you can come to those.
Okay, okay.
Those are posted.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're at a total of 25 million, make sure I got this right in my head. 21 million, well, 21 minus whatever the cost associated with selling the bond. So the bond was 21 million, we have a cost associated with it, so we should get.
The bond cost is already been
The
covered.
21 million is our net,
That's
That's
great.
Okay, so that's our net.
and that was already sold, yeah.
Because we sold that.
Okay, so that's what we have now available to us in the bank.
Well, yeah,
Plus the
in the bank,
1.3.
we have 25.5 less the 1.5 is coming out of fund balance.
Okay.
So what are we,
The
what are we
20
actually looking at? What are we asking for? Is it the 1.5?
Well, we're actually, 21, option A.
99.
Administration would recommend that you approve option A, GMP.
So it's the
21,499,069.63. That's the package that we're asking to be approved.
And on top of that, there's the 3 or 4 million we have for the additional building.
The operational services.
Operational services center. That's-
We have we may not have we have the need for that.
We have the need, but
Yes.
we haven't gotten it.
Well, without the 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Balfour is working on that for us too. Remember, the board approved them to be working on that one as well. And so they're providing us some
But that's
cost
already
estimates for that. Yes.
From the board, so we're not dealing with that today.
Right.
What
So
we've done
mentioned-
is just kind of put that on hold.
Right.
I guess from an administrative standpoint, our feeling is, let's take care of kids first,
Yeah.
and then we'll figure out buses and operations later, knowing it has to be done, but not at the expense of what we want to do for our kids. That's kind of what we're.
Okay. So we kind of switched a little bit. Originally, we were looking at the bus-borne operational facilities. Now we're going to take a look at the school improvements first.
That's
and then
correct.
Come back and then look at the operational. Okay.
Can I mention one thing on the fund balance? Today you won't be approving the dipping into fund balance, that'll be September. And we'll try to pass the resolution to reimburse fund balance.
But we're thinking of the million five-ish level, even at that point, right?
Yes.
So it's not like half the project or something, it's just.
No, it's 1.5.
1.5.
Sorry, and that's where I was going.
Because
Which is
we
still-
already have the 20s in the bank.
Yeah.
Which
It's
is
just-
still the discretionary part, so it's there to use, basically. I mean, it's not gonna take anything out of the already covered ones. But we
So
have
the 1.5, how much would you left in fund balance after 1.5?
Total as of,
it was like 19, 18 or 19.
Would still be above our 24%.
yeah,
or
20,
Right.
I guess 22.8.
Maybe.
Okay.
Not percent, maybe.
Yeah,
And that's a
that's the point.
forecasted, that's a forecasted number.
All right, now 24%, how much is that? What is the,
Well,
That's what
24% of our forecasted, it's 20,
No.
it's 15.6.
16 million. Yeah.
So
Yeah, so then we have.
that's what it is. The fund balance is not in danger.
okay.
Yeah.
No, we just have a lot of budgetary.
And the
pressure.
plan would be with the bond, if the bond's called and the bond passes, or when it passes, then that 1.5, we could put back in there within that 18-month period after payment,
Yes,
after the money's come out,
yes, and we also have,
which we're timeline.
we also have the $800,000, which came from
King
sale.
property.
And technically, that is in our fund balance, and we may discuss having the bond lecture reimburse that much in fund balance too. It's just, we need to protect our maintenance operations because of our growth.
Okay, so this is my question. If we pass the bond, minus what we have here we have 10 classes?
11 classrooms, is that what you're talking about?
11 classrooms coming in.
Yes.
So that increases our M&O cost for, we need additional teachers and paraprofessionals.
But we need the teachers, whether the space was there or not. It's predominantly your custodial, you have extra square footage to clean, extra for HVAC.
Maintenance, yeah.
Things like that. That's more of it. If the kids were there and we're jamming them in somewhere, we'd still have the teachers.
And that analysis.
Because our staffing number plan doesn't
We're gonna
change.
get some, we'll bring up some analysis for future building and how much it costs to open up an elementary, middle school, whatever we do. Work with the finance committee on that. We'll get numbers that we're confident. So that analysis will be done.
Yeah, the only thing I would, my biggest concern would be the number of paraprofessionals we need and the number of teachers that we need.
But that won't impact the debt service side
Yeah,
anyway.
right.
That's why grant M&O is the concern, not so much this,
Yeah.
but whatever new building we build, that will have some staffing impact, because remember, you'll be moving some teachers. If, you know, depending on what level it's at, you may or may not have to even hire administration dependent. So if you did a middle school, for example, if that happened to be a recommendation, and I'm using that example, we wouldn't hire any administrators, because we would be able to reconfigure what we have now. But then the teachers that are hired are gonna have to be hired to take care of the kids regardless of where we're at. It's the M&O side of there you would pick up the paras, as you indicated. And then just the electrical and heating and air conditioning and everything else that goes with it. The custodial square footage to be clean. And you have that at the high school edition too. You just won't have, the staffing will, like for the culinary arts, we've already had the initial staffing for that. That'll grow a little bit, but it'll all be part of our student number growth, which drives our staffing is on student numbers.
So I have a question. How would we present to the public the fact that we're going to take some of those funds, put them back into fund balance when we're getting ready to pass the bond? So typically you list all the things that you're going to fund and why we're trying to pass this bond. Do you indicate, okay, 21 million or whatever is the final number is to go back to fund balance?
Well, that's 1.5 million.
Only 1.5 will be coming back.
And I think what you would probably
It'll be in there.
do that is just have a line item that is to reimburse for the high school project.
But, yeah, keep in mind, the 21 million is the bond from 2004.
Okay.
So that's already, it was sitting there and we just basically are using it now. You guys haven't been
Yeah, we
using
have
it.
to set it,
Right.
That's funny.
So we're just,
So it's the
It's that
1.5 is
1.5
what we're
on top of
talking
it.
about.
Maybe I heard wrong. I thought we were going to try to put the 20.
No, sir. No, just 1.5.
So that was overage cost. Now we have overage cost past the 21 to the 25.
Yeah.
Before we
Yeah,
actually.
technically, we had $22.8 million left in that bond. That'll be in this bond.
So the one other question I had with anything we do architectural, what are we doing to help us either energy savings, cost savings, or anything of that associated with, you know, running our facilities, whether it be solar panels, whether it be any of the other stuff? Are there any considerations around some of that stuff?
That's a great question, Mr.
That'd be
English.
part of that with the bond. You want to talk about just what we
Yes.
saved in the digital lighting in
So,
the gym?
yeah, we've already started that process, and we already worked with a plan of action to do lighting retrofits, those low-hanging fruits. We've already saved almost 60% on the energy usage of the gyms themselves just by going to LED lights. And so we know that we have a payback of 5 years, which is fantastic for that. And so as we go through this project, they are going to be based upon the new energy codes, and the new energy codes are even more stringent than they get more stringent every year, don't they, Steve?
Yeah, they've just adopted the 2012, and yes.
And it's
And Little Elm has even made the step. All new facilities that are built within the city of Little Elm will require full, both interior and exterior lighting will have to be LED.
so one is we're doing it ourselves, but also we're forced to by code. And so we'll be seeing those savings.
And then I think you talk about like solar and all that, that would all be part of what it would look like from the design in a new facility, not retro in any old facility.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, in the past, like the SECO grant, I don't know what all's available now, things like that that allow you to do like solar. When I was in South Lake, we built a middle school that actually puts energy back on the grid in the summertime. And, but it was basically paid for with grant money.
And a lot of that is timing, because
Yeah.
the
It's
federal
gotta be
government puts
available.
money up, and depending on where
Yeah.
when your project comes in, depends on how much you.
And then I think some of that too, is some sounds good and it's a matter of, well, what's your payout on it?
That's right.
You know, yeah, it saves energy, but it's gonna take you 20 years to break even on it. That's where you gotta weigh the cost then at that time. You know, a tankless water heater versus not, the payout's like, what do they say, 15 years or something. And while that's nice, you wanna pay the difference up front.
That's right. Now, we are working with CoServe, Craig Chambers and them, and they are actually looking to get us rebates for the lights we put in at the gym too. So even though it's not a SECO grant, we're looking at getting rebates from CoServe for doing that. So we're working in conjunction with CoServe on this project to make sure we get any energy savings we can.
Any other questions? need a motion to approve the guaranteed max price for phase 2 package for option A.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any other questions?
Pretty good.
You're good?
I mean, okay, that's right.
All right, all those in favor, raise your hand, please. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you all.